Hello, welcome to the Breck Buzz. The show is going to be telling you all about what's been happening in the town council of Breckenridge for the last month, and interestingly, last night. We're going to have a little update for you on a very exciting topic the council dealt with. I have two wonderful guests with me today. Newly elected Elizabeth Lawrence, our first Breck Buzz.
Yes,
welcome aboard,
thank you,
Councilwoman. And Wendy Wolf, a veteran now of a couple of years, are here to help me fill you in on some of the stuff the council's been talking about. Last night we had a big topic. It was about marijuana, which is a topic that we sometimes talk about here on this show. I don't know why, but the big thing was about Main Street downtown.
Yes.
and what to do there. And I'm going to have Elizabeth started off by kind of giving the background. Why are we even talking about this? And then both of you help fill in about what happened last night and kind of where we're heading. So
right.
Go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, so marijuana, for a while, medical marijuana was legal downtown. And then when retail became legal due to Amendment 64, we had one current shop downtown that existed. And the past council this past September of 2013 had passed an ordinance that when their lease expired in September of 14, they would need to move. With a new council and maybe just new direction, we looked at if we would maybe change that and allow that business to stay downtown or other retail marijuana shops to come in. And so that was last night's discussion, first based upon if that business could stay downtown. And in future weeks, it looks like we'll talk about if other businesses can come down there.
Right. And interestingly, the existing business was starting to do some things that what we call an initiative, and you may want to explain what that is, Wendy, that overlaid with this whole intent by the council to talk about this and revisit the topic.
Yeah, so the current business on Main Street came to us with their own ballot initiative that they need. The process is that they must first go out and get the appropriate number of signatures, which in this town is 600 plus of registered voters in Breckenridge. And if they obtain 600 signatures, then they come to us and the council can choose to act on that ordinance as they've written it. And essentially their ordinance, although they said last night that they quickly modified one item on that ordinance, was one asking us to allow that business to remain. So any marijuana business that is legally licensed as of September 1 would be allowed to stay, which would be just them.
One.
Yeah, which would be just them. And they, first the ordinance also is asking us to amend the first floor regulation. The ordinance currently states that they can only be located on a second floor location on Main Street. And they were asking us to amend that so they could come to the first floor. They came to us last night and said, no, we're not really asking for, that's a mistake. We're not asking for a ground floor location. So, so that puts them back to the second floor. So the council had to also deal with the fact that this potential ballot initiative could go through by them taking action on that. So there were a lot of moving pieces last night. So we kind of thought about that while we thought about whether or not we had an appetite for that business to remain on Main Street. And then we also thought about the future of Main Street and the businesses, as well as the businesses that are currently located out on our Airport Road. And how does,
there's 4 of them out
yes,
there, right?
So is it illegal?
Only 3 retail.
Three retail, but yeah, 4 total.
Is it a level playing field for them, and how do they fit into this whole picture? And so we had many people in the audience last night, and John did a little bit different format during the work session where he allowed the audience to participate and speak, and we had a lot of people speak out on both sides of the issue. And I think people were prepared and were very well spoken about the issue. And then John allowed everyone to speak, and then he turned to the council for discussion. So let Elizabeth give the synopsis of how that went.
I thought John handled it in such a great way. It really taking audience feedback, kind of setting some ground rules and guidelines, and he handled it. And I think when it was all said and done, council did discuss it. Varying views. It was interesting how John picked who would talk when. He definitely had a method to that, so it was kind of back and forth. But, you know, and we were split on how we looked at that. But the bigger picture I see is this is really a way for us as a current council to kind of take control of this new situation and really manage it going forward and put some strong restrictions on how we want this new type of business to be in our town and what we want it to represent. And I think going forward, that's what we will do is set some good guidelines that will be strict and help maintain our positive image of Breckenridge while also being accepting to this new business that is out there in Colorado.
I heard two themes, and maybe there were more. Help me if I missed any, but competition seemed to be a biggie.
Yes.
From the other businesses and the downtown one, and image and branding, and maybe I would add go slow versus take control.
Yeah.
So those seem to be some of the arguments that were out there.
Yeah, and the vote ended up being a 4-3 vote. I was in the 3, and Elizabeth was in the 4. And really the split in that vote, one theme that was definitely for the 3 was let's go slower on Main Street. Our image is at stake, and you know, you don't build an image overnight. However, it is possible to ruin an image overnight. And so there was that concern that was in the 3 that essentially lost in the straw poll, as you would say. For the 4 who were looking at it like, as Elizabeth alluded to, that we have a chance here to shape this, to be proactive in how this will come to Main Street, set the regulations, the restrictions, you know, and bring fair competition to it. The part that's tricky here is you already have an existing business on Main Street, so they've got to, you know, certainly have an edge. They're already established. They're going. Now the council will have to take some time. Establish these guidelines. Meanwhile, those businesses that are currently on Airport Road will want to come to Main Street as quickly as they can.
Yeah,
Business goes well. So
I think that's up for a further discussion. Where I came from, the South, it was a dry state, dry county. So you were lucky if you owned a county line liquor store, and it just happened to be whoever got there first is kind of the way it worked out. And I guess I look at that kind of similarly in some way, in that some people, maybe it just worked out in their business, they were able to get there first. But that will be interesting discussion in the next few weeks if this current council wants to open up further to other businesses being down on Main Street.
I think the other interesting thing, now that we're talking about second floor locations, is that right now Main Street is pretty well leased out and doing quite well. Yeah. So staff will have to do some work to determine what second floor locations meet the criteria that we'll be formulating. And so there'll be, again, a lot of moving parts to how this all settles out. It'll take some time.
Or if we do it just second floor below, you know, there's those basement type ones as well, no ground level. There's a lot of options, and like you said, moving pieces.
And the council highlighted, in fact, I think Elizabeth, you in particular highlighted out on Airport Road, which is both grow and retail.
Correct. It
isn't necessarily a hunky-dory situation out there either, because there are some impacts.
Right. I mean, there's other businesses there. There are residents. I mean, I'm a resident there, you know, and I hate for us to create a district. And I think that's what I was so against, creating a green district. I don't know that we want to do that, because Breckenridge has been pretty diverse, and we love that our residents can be next door to a business, and that's works for all over our town almost. So, it'll be interesting in the next few weeks. I felt like the issue at hand last night was really more determining if the current store was able to maintain where they are for a certain amount of time going forward.
So next steps, I think there were 2. One was deal with the current store who technically would have to close on
Right.
September 1 if the
Right.
ordinance was not changed. And two, figure out what are the allowable restrictions to allow other businesses potentially to come into the core town.
Right.
And it's just not Main Street. We ought to mention that. It's more than just Main Street.
That's correct.
Right.
It's the
Overlay
overlay
district,
district,
yeah.
which
Right.
includes Ridge and the side streets, and so yeah, so it is more than Main Street, and it's a timing issue too against the petition that still exists. That they're not, the business that's currently on Main Street is not going to withdraw that petition until they're certain that we have amended our date in the current ordinance. So we've got several steps, to get through. And so the first step will be to talk about that amended date. And then the second step will be to talk about the restrictions
Right.
and the timing of that.
Well, in addition to a full packed, pretty well packed council chambers, which hasn't happened in a little while, we actually had a lot of other feedback that the council relied on to take
Yeah.
a look at things. The Engage Breck, the Go Breck did a great job with their ambassadors.
Yeah,
to
reaching
talk,
out.
and then some other surveys that we did. So a lot of information that's out there in the website,
Right.
part of our agenda. So certainly people are encouraged. And we ought to note that these next steps are all public processes.
Yes.
So there will be public hearings
Right.
relative to the date. There will be public hearings relative to the future
Right.
restrictions. So it doesn't end with just the straw vote.
And
No.
I think we encourage people to reach out to us. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure Wendy had the same. I had lots of people
Yeah.
that wanted to meet with me before going into that and offer up both sides, and I met with people, some that agreed, some that didn't, and we talked about it a lot. And I would solicit that same information going forward, especially if we talk about allowing other businesses downtown, what people feel is comfortable for that. So
Yeah,
I really want to hear that feedback.
I echo that comment. I think that having the public show up last night was very positive for this discussion, and I think this is a critical decision for the town of Breckenridge, and I think we need to continue to hear from the
Yes,
community as we
yes.
go through this. And I don't want the community to think that it's a done deal and we're moving all the way through. Again, we have a lot to talk about, and
Lots
so
of decisions.
I think that's very important that the public stay engaged on this.
Well, and I would also note one other thing. I think general comment was that the current establishments have done a pretty good job of obeying the law
Yeah.
and being good educators. So to a certain extent, it's really about
And
how
being
does it fit.
professional.
Right, yes. Okay, well, that was an exciting
Yeah.
time.
It was exciting.
There's other exciting things.
But this past month, the council did deal with a couple of development agreements. And I'm going to start with one that's kind of one of our favorite organizations because they occupy some town space, BOEC, Breckenridge Outdoor Education Center. What are they up to? Why do we need to do a development agreement with them?
Well, they have a building out on Rivette Landing off Wellington Road, tucked in. A lot of people probably drive past on Wellington Road, have no idea that there's a town-owned building back there. But if you drive back there and look at how the BOEC has worked in that building, it's a 70s looking building by now, and they've made the most of it. They're a great organization, and so. But it's a town-owned building that they've leased, and they would like to make improvements on that building, give it an updated look. Architect John Gunson has volunteered a lot of time to draw up how that building could, come to a modern-day looking building. It's quite impressive. And give them actually some more operating space on the inside, be able to actually house some temporary help there, that seasonal help that helps them with their programs, and really make the most out of that building. So, and now also the BOEC has the ambition to want to lease to own that building and eventually take over ownership, raise the money. They'll do better raising money if that building, comes up to looking nice.
And it belongs to them. at that
Yes,
point.
yes.
Right.
So that's what they're up to, and they're going through the planning process right now. The council has given them the nod to go forward and clear the planning process, and so I think the last I've heard that they are actually through, or partially through that planning
I
process.
think they've just submitted, right.
Okay,
Mhm,
so we'll hear back in the finality of that project, but I totally root for them. They're great.
It's going to be great. And I think the most significant part about it is the ability to house those interns that come in, and a dormitory style, but they have interns that come in and work with some of their disabled participants throughout the year, not just in the winter, but in the summer. And to be able to put those people up, because we know how housing is tough in Breckenridge, that is a huge component of it. And it's such a nice looking building.
Right. They're out talking.
Yes. The old one is quite dilapidated. Every time I'm there, I think this could fall over at any moment. It kind of looks that way from the outside.
Yeah, they're out talking to any neighbors. The building itself, from what I can see in the sketches, isn't going to be dramatically different in height or the dormers.
Other than a pitched roof.
Yeah, a little bit of a different style. But they are talking to folks in the area if it impacts them. So
sure.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to start with, because we'll be talking about a second development agreement, is what is a development agreement? Why do we even do those? And is that part of the planning process?
Well, no. You have to get your development agreement before the planning process. So lots of times in Breckenridge, people maybe need something that it's not currently set that they could have. For example, we had a small development agreement out at the Red, White, and Blue North Fire Station to add a cell phone tower. Believe it or not, that was a development agreement, which I think surprises people, but there's little things like that. It would exceed the maximum height of that building, but yet we all know that we need more cell phone coverage here, especially during busy times. And so the council does simple things like that. We also have bigger development agreements to make different concessions for pieces of land and make things available so that people can make development and good progress on some of this stuff. So we have a big development agreement we just worked on that has lots of parts to it, but I see the greater good on that.
Well, why don't we go ahead with that one? We've kind of referred to it as the Triumph Development. This is the Breck Mountain Lodge, for people that aren't familiar with it, out at the south end of town, real close to the Breck Brewery. It's been vacant for a number of years. Actually,
people can't picture it. They usually cut through that parking lot by Breckenridge Brewery. That's how I tell people.
Right.
You know that parking lot you try to cut through? Yeah.
So the proposal is what?
Well, they want to build a brand new building, a hotel there, which would be great. But they needed to do a lot to make that happen. There was density on that piece of property before that had been moved away, put other places, etc. They needed to get some of that density back, among some other things. Parking was one of that. And we worked with them. And first of all, I have to say they did a great job of working with council ahead of time so that it wasn't a laborious process for anyone. I mean, they really worked hard to make this be good from the beginning, and then if we had concerns, they would quickly fix that. I thought they were great to work with on that, and really heard our concerns as far as what we had. And I see the greater public benefit of what they're trying to do here, and that is to take a huge piece of property, really, considering it's basically on Main Street, and do something better with it. I mean, currently it's a boarded up building. I don't even want to know what's in there. I think bears are living in there. Yes, and really make a nice hotel there is what they're trying to do. So it's a Marriott Residence Inn is what they're looking to build there. And I think we are attracted to that for many reasons. It has a good reputation. I like the most that people can use their points there, their Marriott points, and come here. Those might reach out to people that would never come to Breckenridge on vacation otherwise, but now that we'll have that, they'll be able to. And I think it's really going to be a nice building. Don't really have a pure hotel to speak of here in Breckenridge. Well, DoubleTree maybe to a certain extent. Probably as close as we get to a brand name hotel. The developer is out of Bethesda, Maryland. They're called Triumph Development. They have experience in the Rocky Mountains doing hotels. They've done projects in Vail. Michael O'Connor lives and is raising his family in Summit County, and he's one of the partners in the project. So I feel like he's really immersed himself in what is Breckenridge. And so their proposal, first of all, the property is owned by Vail Resorts. So the kind of the process in all of this is it's privately owned commercial property that, as Elizabeth said, has been sitting there vacant for a number of years.
And so in the redevelopment process, Triumph will first, before they do the whole deal with Vail Resorts, want to know if their project can be approved and fit, and that they can get the proper approvals. As Elizabeth alluded to, that density was stripped off that land in the late 90s and sent over to Main Street Junction. And as a matter of fact, Main Street Junction had no density. So that's how these commercial properties, they swap. And
Right.
and ultimately, what I think the community also needs to realize is a lot of the old master plans in those areas where the commercial development called for a great amount of density, which would allow these buildings to go to a greater height. We started that precedent, with Beaver Run.
Beaver Run, yeah.
And to some extent the village, before the community and the code kind of got in place and said, whoa, wait a minute, we don't quite want this density and this kind of building height. And so worked with the developers to spread some of this density around and even let go of some of the density. So that density went away. It's a commercial deemed property, so they have the right to bring density back and ask for this in a development agreement, which they are. We feel that they're a responsible developer. They're asking for a reasonable amount. They plan to do 135 keys in this room. There's also a lot of scrutiny around the parking. So in the development agreement, they've asked for a number of things. We're giving initial nods to that in the development agreement. It must pass the fit test in planning. And we fully expect some of this to come back to us and say, yes, no, this works, this doesn't. Parking is they've asked for a reduction in the code's normal parking. They've asked for a 0.74, and we usually ask for a 1 parking space to one room. It's on them to prove through a parking study that that's the right number of parking. They'll say things like, we're so close to town, a lot of people will take the shuttle up from parking or from Denver Airport. They won't have a car. So they have to sort of show that to us and how that works. We've further asked that they take consideration for our busiest times. We know we come into these crunch times and you can't get enough parking, and they'll contribute to that crunch. So they'll have a shuttle, and they're going to come back to us and talk about a plan where they're going to take people during the crunch times for their parking. So there's a lot of interesting things that are going back and forth in this development agreement. As Elizabeth stated, this is step one, goes to the planning process. Planning process may say it does or doesn't fit. Council, you need to take a look at this. So there's a lot that'll happen back.
Just the beginning.
Just the beginning steps.
And the public will continue to have an opportunity to register comments on this. To your point originally, Tim, about it being a hotel, this is attractive to us because it brings hotbeds, what we call the hotbeds, to the community, where it'll turn over.
Yes.
We'll have guests in and out. It'll bring new people to the community. A Marriott Residence Inn does have kitchens, but they're kind of dumbed down. They're not like the full kitchens of a condo hotel. So we do expect people to pop their microwave popcorn and have their snacks, but they'll go to the restaurants, and it'll create more new folks, tourists to our tourist space.
Hopefully, yep, that would be the hope.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back and talk about a few more things that the council's been dealing with this past month. Welcome back to Breck Buzz. We were just talking about a couple of development agreements that the council's done, and again, I'll highlight that this is the development agreement process that was a public process, and the planning process that is just being initiated are for both BOEC and for the hotel are public processes. And so if you have an interest, always check the town website, public hearings, those type of things. So there's always an opportunity for folks to help us shape the best projects at the end of the day. Well, one of my favorite topics is affordable housing, because we do a pretty good job, but we always need to do more. And the big topic has been rentals, which is a little different than what we've been dealing with the last few years. And after the recession, it became really pretty interesting. But we have been looking at a piece of land that the town picked up, one time called Pinewood 2, then called Pence Miller, and now it's back to Pinewood 2. Where is that at, and what are we talking about?
Well, after we took a really hard look with Quorum on how Quorum has been a partner that's worked with us out in the Pinewood projects, we took that look at doing an 81 unit rental project there. At the end of the day, the subsidy was going to be too much to the town. We just could not quite make that work, so we stepped back. And so now we're back at looking at it because, as you said, Tim, we really want to figure out how to do affordable rental. And it's not been the easiest project to sort out, but we're not going to give up on this. And so now where we are is that we're going to size down the project. And we're looking at somewhere around 36 units. We want to have at least 40% of those units be at 60% AMI, so very affordable to this market, and that would be huge demand. We'll fill those up, and we'll still be looking how to do rental projects. But step one, this is step one. So we'll take a higher leadership role in being the town. The town will be a little bit more of the developer, hire the local contractors and the subs, and take more responsibility for the financing. And we think we can do a model in that form where it keeps our costs as low as possible, keeps the rental rates as low as possible, and the number of units density lower, and hopefully we'll get this one done, and then it'll pave the way for more.
The town pays for these things because the voters were very generous in approving a sales tax and an impact fee, and so we're reinvesting these dollars. So
yes.
It is a churning of dollars that we're focused on affordable housing. Pinewood is a great success, huh? Pinewood 1?
It is. I think it's been at 98% occupancy the entire time, which is really impressive. And we know we have those people that maybe they're not ready to buy a home or they can't for other reasons, but they want to be here contributing to the community, and we have those folks. And I think this is going to be great. Mostly one bedroom, a few 2-bedroom units to get those people to stay in our community. Again, it really goes back to we want our workforce to live, work, and play in Breckenridge. And that essentially is what this project will do for hopefully 36 families. That's what we're looking at.
And the project is right next to Pinewood. So
yes, and great location on Airport Road, close to the rec center, city market, they can get to work, etc.
The transit goes
yes,
by.
Yes, busy bus stop for sure.
Things. So good location. So that project has not gone through planning yet.
No, early
this
stages.
This is just the first step so shortly we should be seeing some actual drawings.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And
great.
Our planning commissioners will do a great job with that, I have no doubt.
Super. Big projects that the council talked about at their last retreat, got a little bit more information. These are about the Blue River.
Yes.
In fact, both 2 projects, one we call parks and one we call restorations. And what are those projects, and why was it a discussion topic this past month?
Right. I'm most excited about this Blue River project. It's in my neighborhood, my area, and I really look forward to it. So council's committed to restoring the Blue River through the McCain property. It's nearly a mile of river. Starts basically at Coin Valley Road and goes down to Breck Building Center where the Breck Bears are, right around there. So that river disappears under the rock due to mining in years past. So we're going to bring that back up. It's going to take about 3 years to do it. It's going to be done in stages. We're going to bring the river back and restore the bank, and it's really going to be a nice place for people to go and walk along it, fish, etc. So add more to our recreation. And then also kind of in conjunction with that, we're going to look at developing some of these parks on the Blue River section between Coin Valley up to Valley Brook Road and there. And I'm also in Bosac, and Bosac toured that, and we looked at what parks kind of make sense in there and what we could do with that. So we're initially going to do a study to kind of see what will work best in that current area right now. So one neat park is called an Oxbow Park, and it's down closer to the Coin Valley section of it, and really would be a nice area for a little fishing section, have a fishing pier in there for those people that might not be waders and want to get in the river and whatnot. So yeah, looking at that in the next little bit. So
right. So the plan is in conjunction with a couple other elements out there. One, affordable housing,
Yes.
which
Right.
is Block 11. Obviously, open space and town dollars. So
Right.
that was another one of the discussions of what's the right framework. What is the whole long-range vision for that whole corridor now to match up with a plan that was developed?
Yeah, of course we have the master plan on the McCain property, and we have the Block 11 master plan to build affordable housing and make that more graceful. Grade that down to the river,
It's now steep.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say, we had an opportunity to have lunch with Vale Town Council the other day, and one of their overriding comments was, what a beautiful job that we've done restoring the river. And as they were coming into town,
Yes.
they just complimented us greatly on how great that river looks. We start to take that for granted, I think, at times, and it is a beautiful river, and it's a great thing to be able to bring it back to the surface and have it flow. The vision is that it'll eventually flow on top all the way gracefully through Block 11 with residential along the banks, and then go through the McCain property. Now, at this point in time, it'll probably be more along the bike path. You might not see it so much from Highway 9. Right. But I think that's also a great thing because we have so many fishermen and bikers. It'll be a wonderful, departure from Highway 9 and wander back through the backside of the McCain property, and then it connects with the Stan Miller property, who they have done river
Right.
restoration. So there's these spots. So we're getting there. We're going to
Yes.
get all the way, down to Lake Dillon. It's, we're
Right.
going to get there.
Right.
But it, step at a time. As Elizabeth said, the mining really changed the look of that.
Right.
And actually, that original loss of river really came all the way through Breckenridge.
Oh, all the way.
Most people
Yes.
don't realize that
Yeah.
when they're sitting at the Riverwalk Center and standing at that beautiful
Yes.
river. It didn't look like that many
Correct.
years ago.
Correct.
I know.
Yeah, that's very true. So this will be some great open space, especially that river part through the McCain property. The other section that's already done between Valley Brook and Coin Valley, I'm down there every day, and it's busy. People
Oh, yeah.
use it, and I have no doubt that people will use the next
Oh, yeah.
section. But it's going to feel different because it's going to be a little bit more secluded from the highway, which is nice. It's convenient to get to, but you're going to still feel like you're away from it and
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, and people will notice a lot of plantings have been occurring out there over
Yes,
the last couple of
yes.
years too. So
Yeah.
good stuff. Well, let's do a quick highlight real quick of several of the projects that are out there that the council hears about every meeting, just so people know that they're not forgotten. The community center.
The community center, yes, which houses the library, the speakeasy. It'll have the Summit Foundation offices in, and BHA. The Breckenridge Heritage Alliance will do an archive room. This is going to be a wonderful community building, legacy building for the community, because I can't, pass over mentioning how much money has been raised in the community for this
Right.
building. We are getting very close to that $2 million mark, which is just astounding to me, the outreach from the community to be a part of this building. We're starting to plan for its grand opening, and we believe that we can earmark that for early December. We're not ready quite to pin the date, but getting very close. So we're going to have a sneak peek of this building in August,
The 17th.
the 17th of
Yes.
August.
Mark that date down.
Yes.
Yeah, so very important. And we
1 to
really
3.
do. We want the community to come out and do that. Take a sneak peek at this building and see what incredible work has been going on, top to bottom, to restore this building and bring those rafters back, and of course all the hidden secrets of a building that was originally built in 100 years ago.
Right.
So sneak peek in August 17th, and then we're going to kind of bring that curtain down.
Yes.
And allow this building to get all finished up, get everybody moved in, and build up that wonderful pent-up demand to see what it really looks like and finished, and then we'll grand open it in December.
Pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
Arts District.
Yes, it is coming right along. Goodness, I walk past it every day and something new. Painting. I mean, the outside of the buildings are all done. I mean, it is really, really impressive. So we're looking at our soft opening for that, September 25th through 28th. That weekend, lots going on in town that weekend, so it'll be a good time to do it. But it's looking fantastic. And I know Rob and the Cultural Arts Coalition, Wendy, you're part of that, really have a lot planned for that weekend. Lots of arts demonstration, and people will really get a good idea for it. And we are really looking forward to that being open. But it is active over there right now. Lots of workers trying to finish it up towards the end, but it's going to be fantastic. I am very anxious to get in and take a tour. So I've seen the community center building a lot. In fact, as we're planning our sneak peek, it's amazing. Even though I've been in that building so much through the planning, my jaw dropped when you're standing on that mezzanine and looking in. It is amazing, and I look forward to everyone coming to check it out at the sneak peek. And I think people will be amazed at the Arts District too. I mean, what a fantastic resource we're going to have in a neat area.
We should mention the Masonic Hall, though, will not be a part of that
Correct.
opening,
That's
right?
taking, yes, longer. But again, great progress there. Going to be wonderful when it's finished. But that is looking more like next spring, summer when it will be done.
Good. Main Street Park.
Yes.
That one hasn't gotten started yet.
I know. but it'll be nice when it's done.
Yes, yes.
You know, of course, it's our pocket park on North Main and right next to Alpine Bank. And we have had it out to bid once or twice, and we can't quite get to the right price point and the right amenities, but we'll get there, right, Tim?
Yes, we will.
And so we had planned to start that as early as possible, and it's still not started. Tim tells us he's very hopeful we'll still get the shovels in the ground and get it worked out, and so it'll be a late breaking park sometime into the fall. But that's okay. I mean, we have brought on so many improvements that maybe we ought to save a few wonderful surprises for next spring. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
The skateboard park.
Yes, that is coming right along. I encourage people to drive by the rec center, see. It's going to be amazing. But they had to wait for the snow to melt since it took forever. So the snow melted. They did the excavation in there, and they are coming right along with that, which will be a wonderful resource for those skateboarders. Tim, I think we're going to get you out there.
Oh boy!
Yeah, you're going to drop in the bowl first
when
it's time for the grand opening. So yes. So that's coming right along the turf field.
Right.
Next to it, again, they took the berm out last week, and this upcoming week we're going to see, I think, some big trucks out there digging up the dirt and everything else to get that ready and leveled out, and for our new turf field, which should be done September, so not too far away.
Just before the snow flies, right?
Well, I think some people get to play a little bit of soccer
on there, and lacrosse and everything else. So great. Those are some quick updates on a lot of the big projects happening around town. Wendy, one of the things that we did this past month was had a first joint meeting with what we call now the Breck, used to be the BRC, which is the new form board. You're our representative there, but why don't you give a few highlights of where the Breck board is at and what the council chatted about with them? Yeah,
well, the Breck board is really taking one big focus on business services, and that's the redo of having had membership prior to us kind of revising this whole board scenario. And now everyone on Main Street, everyone in town is a member of Breck and should receive business services from the Breck efforts and the marketing efforts. And so one of the exciting things that we've done is we've kind of retooled the ambassadors to help us have a dialogue, constant dialogue with the businesses in town. They helped us just recently with the surveys about marijuana, and they're now out and doing surveys about whether or not we should allow sandwich boards and some signage changes in the town. And so I think we already have some great dialogue and feedback that I think was very much needed between the businesses. And that first goes to Go Breck, and then Go Breck does a great job of bringing that information to staff and to the council. So that's one exciting thing. We also are doing more on the events side to kind of bring all of the events management together in kind of one central place. This town does events and loves events. We do quite a few of them.
Yes.
And we would like to be, really good at the management of these events so that potentially we can handle more and we're more efficient. And events also have the potential of bringing in revenue. So it goes kind of both ways. And so that's a big deal. And so we're making some changes in how we manage and look at events. We spend $3 million in this town on the marketing efforts, and so it is a big deal to have an organization like Go Breck that is ever on top of that, is able to coordinate well with the ski area and their marketing efforts and do the very best we can. And as Lucy Kay says, go get those needles in the haystack. So, that's the first connection with a guest who might potentially come to this town, and then get them to book their reservations and come. We have tomorrow the annual meeting of Go Breck, and it's being held at CMC and starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there will be the talk of what Go Breck will be planning to do over this next year. So it'll be good.
So in addition to board leadership, we also have a staff leadership change there. You mentioned Lucy. Maybe people don't realize they have a new director there.
That's right. I take that for granted now because
it's been a couple of months.
We put the saddle on her and she's off and running. And of course, Lucy Kay is a familiar face to this town. She's been here for a long time. And we did a nationwide search, and it brought us back to somebody right here in our local community. And that's always that's confirming when that happens. And so, so Lucy has indeed hit the ground running, and she has been a good leader, and she's outreach to so many people in the community. So for those who are in a business or lodging role in the community, I already have sat down and met with Lucy. So anyway, she's excellent, and we're in good shape from the leadership standpoint.
Certainly an important partner organization, a little bit of even internal type of focus to try to make sure everything is the most efficient and most effective.
Yeah, and they've really done a good job with it. I mean, big changes in the last year with that group, and have really stayed strong and solid. And I really appreciate hearing about their focused marketing efforts going forward and bringing in those first-time visitors to Breckenridge and their continued outreach. But their marketing, at least with the branding, has been so strong with the Breck Because, and continuing on that and getting people on board. And people look forward to it now.
Right. One of the things that we periodically do is some of the departments come forward and give you a little bit of an update of what happened in 2013. But our rec department kind of gave an annual report.
Yes.
What were some of the highlights?
Mike Barney, rec director, came and really did a good job with that. It was great to see. But our rec department is continuing to grow. The people that they serve is really growing. This past year, we have a new program, the Catch program, that really brings a lot of different groups together. Keystone Science School, FERC, Summit Foundation, etc. But it's an after-school program, and that has been very successful this past year, and it's continued into the summer. Their summer programs are often running and busy. Lots going on at the ice rink. The putt-putt there is continuing to grow. Rec center programs are growing. Of course, our golf course is continuing to be popular. And I really appreciate him giving us the update and all the wonderful news. But I think the most important facet that I saw is that our subsidies at the rec center are less and less, and I was really proud of that. And that shows that he has done a good job of having those programs and bringing in income in that recreation department. It's pretty impressive.
Yep, it kind of floats depending on how active people are, and how big a winter and how wet the summer.
Oh yeah.
In terms of how busy that place is.
Oh, totally. Although I think I recall the figure of something like 181,000 and some participants through the rec center, and so it is a popular place, and they do a great job. And I think our community may not realize that the town does subsidize those wonderful amenities that we have, and yet they do also, as Elizabeth said, do a great job of bringing revenue in with their programs, and they're looking always for programs that just fit the bill and help bring in revenue. But having said that, we do subsidize them to a certain extent, and that does help provide for programs that maybe aren't as capable as of bringing in revenue, and that hits the kids that are in school. You know, some of the club programs that they provide for that the schools are not able to provide for, so it meets some of those gaps. And so what an amenity. You know,
great
can you imagine?
And great for the locals. Huh?
Yeah, the visitors come and find it and they're delighted. And I don't think the locals could possibly imagine this town without it.
No, couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
I mean, I always talk about having been in metro areas where they build rec centers for 100,000 population. Ours is only 4,000, but all the visitors really enjoy it.
Right.
So, why don't we wrap up with financials? We always try to check in to see how we're doing for so far, but basically the first quarter of the year so far.
Which makes you sleep at night because you've got
Much
a council
better,
that spends money. Well, we used to say like drunken sailors. I'm not sure we're in the drunken sailor category right now, but we still manage to spend a fair amount. Yeah. So we're exceeding our budget projections and revenues. Of course, Tim Gagan always budgets very conservatively, but still, like we're at about 106% on our sales tax, and the accommodations tax is exceeding projections, and our real estate transfer tax was at what, 117%. So these are good. We still haven't hit our, we'll get
peak summer.
Yeah, we're still just hearing from the months that aren't as exciting.
Right.
The May and June time period, which lags a little bit. Things look good. Lucy Kay reported the other night that 4th of July hit 90 to 95%. Accommodations. So lodging is cranking.
Right.
Which I think she said would be the largest 4th of July since 2007. So.
That's right.
And the June was
in June, or maybe it's the biggest June since 2007, and maybe the largest 4th ever. But I think we saw our numbers were up on everything, which is great when we look at those financials. And I know that we had a very strong spring here, and the ski season ended up 12% above on lodging when those final numbers came in, and it's great stuff.
Yeah.
The recession seems to have waned a little bit.
And it's helping pay for a lot of great new things that we have going on here.
I think, our mindset will we won't forget that for some time.
That's
And,
right.
we continue to hold healthy reserves in places where I think it's prudent.
Absolutely.
And so, but it's wonderful when you get to have the money to do some things.
And we probably got the marijuana money is also tracking okay?
Yes. I mean, it is up. I mean, we really didn't know what to expect there, did we? I mean, we just didn't. It was kind of up in the air, but it has proved to be strong and healthy, and is continuing. I think it's 2%. Is that what it brings in of our overall sales tax? Yep, about 2%. So, which is still a small part of the puzzle, but we can't ignore it, and it's definitely helpful, and we're appreciative of it, and so that's been strong. Good. We'll have to see how it ends up at the end of the year.
This is
because we just didn't know.
And the summer's just starting to crank up. So
that's right.
True.
July 4th was a good start. I want to thank Elizabeth and Wendy for joining me today, for filling you in on what's happened. And as always, questions about anything that the town's up to is website's a great place to check. Phone calls are easy. The council is really
reach out
reachable.
To us.
And anytime at City Market, Post Office.
Cup of Joe.
That's right. Yeah, Cup of Joe.
But we really do welcome people to be connected and involved. And Engage Breck is another tool that we periodically use out there to get people's input, things like that. So, and every month we'll be back here for another edition of Breck Buzz to give you the updates of what these elected officials have been doing over the past month just to keep them in check. So we want to thank you again, and we'll see you again next month.